What's going on YouTube? Aortic Mojo here, and if you've watched any of my videos in the past, guys, the 5 or 6 I've uploaded, you know I tend to ramble a lot. I don't have a drawn-out game plan, I guess you could say. Well, I'm going to try something a little different today. I was looking through YouTube because I was curious to see if there was anything more I could learn here with my Tier 9 Russian Heavy, the STI. Wondering if there were any tricks or anything like that that I hadn't discovered yet. And to my surprise, I couldn't find anything I considered to be a good strategy guide for it or a good review. And so I decided, you know what, why not? I'm going to make one. Now, I'm embarrassed. I'll show you my service record. I'm not the greatest in the world, but 370 games with the STI, 51% win rate, 78% pretty accurate with it. Only average about 700 XP per battle, but, you know, with premium you never notice. I only have one top gun in this thing. Really going to have to work on that. But anyway, let's just dive right in. Alright, now, first and foremost, let's talk about its stock. Say if any of you out there are playing the KV4 right now and you're right at the door of the STI. Let's say you've got it researched and you're just grinding out the money to buy it. Let me stop you right there. If you have not been down the IS line yet, or the KV1S line, and you do not have this gun researched, before you buy this tank, I highly advise you either grind your butt off to get the free XP you need, or you get some gold, convert it, and get this gun first. Reason is because this is the stock gun on the STI. It's the best gun on the KV3. It's the 122mm D25T. If you're playing into KV4 right now, you remember this is the stock gun on the KV4. Remember how bad and hard and horrible of a grind it was to get to the long 107 in the KV4 using this gun? That is amplified times 10 in the STI. Because in the KV4, you could potentially get in only Tier 8 games. Or a game where maybe you and one other person were the only Tier 8s in the game. It's not that way in the STI. You're getting in Tier 9, Tier 10 games. And if you remember using this gun to take on Tier 9 and Tier 10 tanks in the KV4, you remember how horrible it was. How gut-wrenching and terrible of a grind it is. So, I'm telling you in advance, research the BO9 first. Don't buy this until you have this gun researched. It's going to make your life so much better, I promise you. Now, once you have the BO9 researched, this is the order you need to go in research-wise for this tank. Your first objective, the tracks. Reason being is because you ultimately want to get this turret and this gun. And this turret is heavy. It's very heavy. As you can see, the stock turret here only weighs 1,300 kilograms. If I remember my kilograms to pounds correct, that's 26,400 pounds. The STI's upgraded turret weighs 15,200 kilograms, which is roughly 30,400 pounds. So, what? A little over 11, 12 tons for this turret? So you have to get these tracks first. Once you've got those, then you're going for the turret. And this is where it starts to get fun. Because your stock turret only has 170 millimeters of frontal and side armor on the turret and 160 rear. 22 degrees second traverse. 360 meter view range, which is okay for a Tier 9 heavy, I guess. But the upgraded 250 millimeters of frontal armor. Yeah, you lose a lot, about 4 degrees a second in turret traverse. And you only gain 20 meters of view range. But, that 250 millimeters of frontal turret armor is accompanied by one other thing. When you get this turret, you can play hull down. That's right, guys. I said hull down in a Russian tank. This is by far my favorite Rush American tank because the gun depression once you get this turret rivals that on many of the American tanks. I may be wrong here, but I think you can actually get the gun down to about right here. Maybe about right there, but still, that on a Russian tank is just unheard of. And it makes your life so much easier. And you become a god once you get the tier 10 gun. 268 pin, 440 average damage. If you've, got tons of cash unlike me, and you can afford to throw gold every game, 400 penetration. There's nothing you're not getting through. Accompanied with the fact that you can play this tank hull down, become a major threat. Now, when you're playing hull down, yeah, you have a huge cupola that's a weak spot. But I found that if you just slightly are moving this while you're playing hull down, say you take a shot and then you just kind of start wiggling your turret back and forth, this actually becomes pretty difficult to get through. And the only threat you really have then is artillery. Because artillery is just going to cut through this like acid through a stick of butter. Second advantage you have here with this turret and gun depression. Anybody that's ever played a game with me in this tank has heard the following statement. Never face hug an STI because you're going to have a bad day. And this is why. This tank, it's relatively tall for the body, and that's a lot because of the turret. And there's really nothing you're going to face in Tier 9, and exception of Tier 10, that's going to be tall enough to look down here. You're pretty much going to be eye level with a lot of tanks. And the thing is that with the exception of going against American tanks, you're going to have more gun depression than almost everything you go against when you face hug it. Now, granted, this right here is a weak spot, and this is too when you're face hugging. But I found once again that if you wiggle your turret back and forth and just slightly wiggle the tank itself, nothing's getting through there. I have went up against E75s, M103s, IS8s, even other STIs. Of course, you've got to get them in the rear. Yeah, make jokes now. But anyway, I've went up against those tanks and took no damage whatsoever, simply because I'm wiggling this little turret around and kind of wiggling my tank. Now that you know the strengths, it's a great face hugger. It's a great hull down. Let's talk about the weaknesses. First weakness you have on this is the same thing as the strength. It's this turret. This is a massive target, especially for artillery. You are not hard to hit. Do everything you can to keep this right here in cover. This as well. If you get tracked in this, you're going to become quick bait for artillery. Same thing, day one stuff, guys. If you're headed to Tier 9, you know this. Don't expose your sides, don't expose your rear. Another weakness this tank has, it's not a flanking tank. It's got decent speed, 40 kilometers an hour. And granted, my crew's all at 100%. Now, why this guy has more skills than this guy's? Well, because I moved all these guys to my IS-4, and the IS-4 only has one loader, so I had to keep one here. But 40 degrees speed limit, you're not a flanking tank. And in reality, you're not going to hit that unless you're going downhill. I mean, it's not too bad. I usually top out about 32, 33 kilometers an hour, but that's nowhere near flanking tank speed. And it takes a little while to get there. And going uphill, you might as well be going up the hill in a roller coaster on top of the track, because you're going to get there faster in the roller coaster. Another weakness about this side of this turret right here. Now, I could be wrong, but I believe that this area right here is where your ammo rack is located. I've only been ammo racked a few times in this. It doesn't seem too prone to being ammo racked. And to be honest, it doesn't seem too prone to fire. The biggest weakness this tank has, as far as, modules getting taken out, is the gun seems to get taken out a good bit, because if a person gets lucky, they can actually get a shot through right in here. It's a very difficult shot to get, but they can do it, and you won't take any damage, but it will knock your gun out. I have had games where my gun got taken out, I repaired it immediately, and 2 seconds later it got taken out again. Let's see. Now, we went over the turret, we went over some of the weaknesses. Oh yeah, I forgot. Let's go over the hull armor real quick and the sides armor. 140 millimeters front sides, hundreds rear. The best way to play this tank in city maps, this tank is a god at either side scraping or angling. First of all, side scraping, if you play it right, the only thing they're going to be able to hit 9 times out of 10 is this little side skirt here. And I found that you typically get a lot of bounces right there. And if they hit your tracks, you may get tracked. But it's been very rare for me to get damaged while side scraping in this tank. Also, another thing is when you angle this tank, the proper angle, you don't want to be too extreme because this surface right here becomes flat. But if you're angling it properly and you're behind the right kind of cover, then this right here is generally all that's shown of your tank, maybe a little section here. And most people aim for this. And like I said, with the slightest movement, that becomes pretty difficult to pin. And angled properly, that 140 millimeters of frontal armor effectively becomes 280 millimeters. And the gameplay I'm going to show you guys, it's not, the gameplay with me getting tons of kills in this. It's not gameplay, of me just dealing massive amounts of damage. Because, be honest, once you hit tier 9, you have a basic understanding, or you should, of firing into weak points. Firing into spots like the lower glacis here, firing into viewports, aiming for the cupola. You know these things, at least you should. The gameplay I'm going to show you demonstrates how much of a beating this tank can really take and why I feel it's probably the best tier 9. Honestly, be truthful, I wish the IS-4 was a tier 9 and this was a tier 10. Because I like the IS-4, but compared to this, I play this a hell of a lot more. Alright, quickly, let's go into equipment. First is standard, large caliber gun tank rammer. That's standard for all heavy tanks, simply because heavy tanks, besides artillery and tank destroyers, have some of the longest reloads. With 100% crew and this, I think my reload is just a little shy, under 11 seconds. I don't remember because my Jimbo's Crosshair mod won't work with 8.4. I have reinstalled it 5 or 6 times and it just will not work. I don't know why, so I gave up. Second thing, enhanced gun laying drive. Now, the reason I chose this is because aim time on the gun is 3.4 seconds, I think. Yeah, 3.4. And when you're in higher tier battles, you want every advantage you can get. And that 10%, granted, it only knocks off, just gets you with 100% crew shy under 3 seconds, but a heavy tank with an aim time of under 3 seconds is usually a pretty big advantage. The quicker you can aim on your target, the quicker you can fire and get into cover. And once again, when you've got 100% crew, these times right here become misleading. And finally, last bit of equipment, I've got the toolbox, 25% to repair speed, and with 3 crew members training in, or 1 trained and 2 training in repair skill, tracks get up incredibly quickly. And to be quite honest, I feel like a toolbox should be mandatory for anyone on a high tier heavy tank, especially a tank like this, where once again you are a humongous artillery target. And if you're on a map like Steppes or Prokhorovka or Siegfried Line or Malinovka and you get tracked, but you don't want to waste your repair kit on a track, you need to get it up as quickly as possible. And with a toolbox and a crew trained in repair, my tracks are generally up in about 2.5 to 3 seconds. Now, I don't even want to know how fast it's going to be once I get all these guys trained in repair. Hoping will be pretty quick. Alright, let's see. Is there anything else I need to cover on this? Hit points, 1900 hit points. That is actually the largest pool of hit points for any Tier 9 heavy. I looked earlier. I can't remember what it is. I think it's one of the German tanks, says the second highest with maybe 1870. Let's take a quick look, shall we? Okay, vehicle details 1820, vehicle details 1850. Okay, it's not there. Let's look here. That's 1850. The American M103, which I don't know. I've never trusted this tank's stats because it seems backwards. 1750. When I get to this tank, I'll do a review for it. But 203 hull armor and 127 turret armor. Anything seem backwards about that with you guys? People tell me that's correct, but that's not a traditional American tank. Let's see. Not even going to look at the French heavies. Let's see. I know the IS-8 doesn't have very... No, I haven't even looked at the Chinese heavy. Chinese heavy 1750. And let's look at the IS-8 real quick. IS-8 1700. So yes, the STI has the largest pool of hit points of any Tier 9 heavy. As far as rounds go, guys, anybody in my clan that watches this is probably going to get pissed, but the only reason I even keep these is it's nice to have some heat rounds for clan wars, but to be honest, I never seem to use them. This is probably the same 10 I've had since I first bought the gun. I've never used these things. You get 40 total ammo capacity and 30 AP shells. If you know where you're firing, you don't need these at all. But alright, with that, let's get into some gameplay. Alright, so here we are with some gameplay. Now, like I said, this is not going to be an amazing Mojo goes on a killing spree and destroys everything gameplay because, I'm sorry, those are a dime a dozen. My main goal here is I want to show you the durability of this tank. And let me make sure, yes, you guys get to see all this. Let me make sure my volume's not too high. Okay, that should be decent, I guess. Okay, speed this up a little bit. Yeah, your STI will never go this fast. So, yeah. Actually, does that... Holy crap, I just noticed this. Watch the kilometers. When you fast forward, it actually changes the speed. Yeah, you're never going to have an STI going, you know, 60 kilometers an hour. Alright, but as you can see, and I'm actually going to go off of the fixed camera here, how I'm angling my tank. Look at that. 3 shots off the bat. Bam, bam, bam. Got shot in the track. Everything else just bouncing right off of this thing. That frontal turret armor right there, you're not getting through it. Angled slightly on the track, not getting through there. Frontal armor, angled, not getting through. I decide, you know what, this E50, this nice medium player right here, he needs some help, so I'm going to go give him a hand. Now, I don't even think I get a kill in this game. I won't lie to you, but once again, this is to show you the main strength of this tank, and that is you can hold down a flank almost by yourself in this thing, if you play it properly. Now, let's get back to the free cam here. Alright, now, as you can see, T30 hit me right there on the turret. Because I believe actually sitting right there, I'm pretty much hull down. Not getting through me. It's so sloped, so curved, so well right there in the front, you're going to bounce almost everything. I actually had a gameplay recorded. I decided not to use it was me going against 4 E100s, and the reason I decided not to use it is because it was 8.3 and like an idiot I didn't record the replay in time, so I can't watch it. But me going against 4 E100s all with the derp, playing hull down and angled, and just shot after shot after shot was bouncing off of my turret. Speed this up just a teeny bit. Alright, there we go. Another shot bounced from the T-30. Now, does he have the best gun? I don't know. And he's actually going to just kind of get a little bit wary. He's going to ask, how much freaking armor does this thing have? And the answer is a lot. But once again, staying angled. Another ricochet. The strength of this turret. As you can see, he went right for close to the cupola and bounced right off. All these shots are taking, just wasting ammo. I am just eating the shots up. Shot from the T-95, and there he is. How much damn armor on an ST-1 turret?
Penetration.
Got a shot on him there. That was just in the tracks. Another bounce. Finally take the first hit of the game. Where was it? Oh, somebody finally managed to hit that cupola. But how many shots have I taken so far? Maybe 15, 20 shots so far, and only one penetrating hit. But once again, keeping it angled. And as you can see, I don't know why, because they pretty much got me overwhelmed at the moment. They're afraid to move forward. They start to now here in a minute, but it takes them quite a long time. Another shot bouncing. Once again, angled turret. My God, this thing is just lovely. And let me pause it right here real quick. And that's what I was talking about right there. If you can see where that little angle is right there, I'll turn that off because that's really annoying. Why in the hell are you bouncing around? I don't know. Okay. If you can see right there where that ricochet looks like, that's actually a penetration right in that area. It's a really hard shot to make, and you've got to get lucky. But if you do, it will knock out the main gun every freaking time. And that's what I highly suggest saving your repair kit for and using the toolbox on to get those tracks up quicker. Just be smart about it. Alright, now I've got the T-32 advancing towards me, and I'm going to get taken out. I'm not going to get a kill. I won't lie. Once again, I want you guys to see the durability of this tank. Non-damaging penetration. It seems like every freaking update, there's more and more of those. Alright, they're starting to come at me, and I realize, alright, I'm keeping myself trying to stay angled against that T-95 because he's more of a threat to me than this T-32 is. Another shot bounces. I'm going to get taken out here. Shot bounced. Actually, I have no idea what that was that hit me there. But he hits me again. I'm going to get taken out by the T-95, I believe. I think I get one more bounce off this guy before I'm gone.
Ricochet.
Oh, I bounce off him. Yep. Bounces off the turret again. This is why you don't face hug. Now, granted, I'm more in defensive mode right now. I'm trying to get the hell out of there.
We've had it. Let's get out of here.
T-95 finally takes me out. But, as I said, that right there, what you just witnessed, that is the strength, the main purpose of the STI. That is why I wish this tank was the Tier 10 tank instead of the IS-4. Because the IS-4, you can angle it, but it's a little more difficult because your turret, yes, it's smaller target, but you lose the gun depression. And there's so many straight edges on that tank that if you're not angled properly, it's kind of like the IS-3 when you angle it. Because with the pike nose on the IS-3, you've got to stay faced forward or else you lose the effectiveness of the pike nose. It's kind of like that on the IS-4, except for when you're facing forward, you're going to get hit in the lower glacis and get pinned. And when you're angled, there's too many spots right there on the side that can easily be pinned. But thanks for your time, guys. I'm Aortic Mojo. Got more videos to come. I'm going to start pushing these things out more and more. Sorry for the long-winded. Wish I could have gave you guys a little bit more exciting gameplay, but this right here is what I wanted to show you. So, thanks for watching, and I am out of here.